This villain has a lot of steps, so we're gonna start for right now. Okay, so Ernesto's gonna start off with a circle. You want it to be closer to the top part of your paper, but leave a little bit of space because we're gonna add in his hair later on. And for extra credit, if you want, you can add in his hat or his sombrero. But I'm just gonna add in here my circle. I'd say maybe like the size of like a tennis ball is good. Just keep it nice and light and loose. Now once you've got that circle in place, go ahead and cut it in half. And it's gonna look kind of like a cake pop, right? Think about those nice $7 Starbucks cake pops. You always say yes to because they have seasonal versions and you're a sucker. Now once you've got that in place, we're gonna add in some horizontal guidelines here. So about a quarter of the way from the bottom of my circle, I'll add in a horizontal guideline right here. And then I'm gonna add a second horizontal guideline that goes below my circle. You want it to leave a little bit of space though. So just a little bit of space below the bottom part of your circle, we're gonna add in another horizontal guideline. All right, once you've got this in place, this is gonna be our basic foundation here for Ernesto. Now on the sides of my circle here, we're gonna carve into that head shape just a little bit. So just on the edges of my circle, I'll cut into it just a little bit and create like these sloping, kind of stretched out letter J shapes. And I'll do that same thing here on the other side. Now, I feel like Ernesto's got these really, in death and in life, has these very high, prominent cheekbones. I mean, it makes me jealous. So we're gonna add in his cheekbones on either side here. Just adding in these stretched out parentheses shapes from the ends of our letter J shapes here to where that second horizontal guideline is. All right, from here, what I like to do for where I'm gonna make his jaw end, I'm gonna add in a little tick mark on my vertical guideline. I like to use my fingers here and just kind of loosely measure how tall my circle is and make a little mark there on your vertical guideline. His jaw is going to be really big, and that helps give him that really confident look. So I'm just going to really lightly kind of darken in a little bit of my horizontal guideline there. And then I'm going to use my tick mark here. That's going to be the bottom part of his chin. And then for the rest of his jaw here, I'll add in these diagonal lines going downwards here, and you want to think kind of like a coffin. That's kind of what shape his chin makes here. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's very coffin-like. All right, this is now going to be his head shape here. Now once you've got this part in place, I'd say this is really the hardest part of drawing Ernesto. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip over to his facial features here. So underneath that top horizontal guideline, I'm going to add in his nose. And we are drawing him kind of like dead version, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. I hope that's not a spoiler to anyone. Like you've seen that. And actually, I feel like, you know, in the end, if you're not happy with how your Ernestos look, I say, why not draw a giant bell on top of your sketch? It's accurate. But here for his nose, I'm going to add in a little heart that's upside down. Kind of just like if you've drawn Miguel with us, this is how we added his, kind of like his little makeup that he wears in the Land of the Dead. And then from here, I'm going to move on towards his smile. From my cheekbones here on either side, I'll add in a little U-curve. You don't want it to go too far down your chin because you want to emphasize he's got that pretty big jaw. But his smile's still pretty deep here, and he's actually got an open mouth smile. So I'm going to add in another U-curve here that doesn't go as far down as that first one. Kind of like I'm making a little banana shape here. And then you want to add in a horizontal guideline here, or a horizontal line on the inside for his teeth. So underneath here, you're going to fill that in, and then that top line here is going to create his teeth line. So I'm just going to add in 3 lines there to give him his teeth. And I'll lock in the rest of this. Now, I didn't even explain locking in before. Locking in means push harder on your pencil so your lines are getting darker and thicker. And you can see otherwise here, everything else looks pretty nice and light. I've only really locked in his nose and his mouth. Now above his mouth, he's got his mustache here, so I'm just gonna add in 2 lines. They kind of look like little evil eyes. Or kind of like, I feel like teenagers going through puberty and they're like, look, I can grow a mustache. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's kind of the vibes it gives me. You can thicken it up a little bit more or less. I'm just going over and over the shape there. And then for this, that's really all we need here for that bottom part of Ernesto's face. Now I'm going to move on here to the top part. I'm going to go back toward that top horizontal guideline, and we're going to sketch out his eyes. Now his eyes are going to rest, I'd say a little bit closer together than further apart, right on that top horizontal guideline. So start off nice and light here with your circles, and then darken them in. And the nice thing too about Ernesto's eyes is that he's got a lot of makeup around them. So if they're not looking perfect, you can actually kind of hide it or adjust it with the makeup that we add around his eye. And also what's interesting is somehow, even though they're skeletons, they have pupils. But they're cartoons, so we don't question it. And it's Pixar, and they give everything feelings, so we also don't question it. But to give him his pupils here, I'll just give him some circles on the inside. And I'll have him looking kind of straightforward. So by doing that, I'll add in my pupil kind of towards that middle bottom part of my eye shape here. All right, we doing okay so far? Because I know he's got a lot of steps. Haven't really paused yet. We're still all alive. We're regretting our life choices a little bit, maybe. Has anyone actually gotten to meet Ernesto? Yeah. Because he's here during a Oogie Boogie Bash by the Hyperion. Very fitting. He's actually like my favorite villain to go see because he looks really realistic. And also like he sings, so it feels like I'm at a concert. Now underneath my eyes here, I'm gonna add in what kind of looks like eye bags, but this is gonna be the bottom part of his eye makeup. Then around the inside corners of his eyes, you want to add in like a backwards parenthesis shape. And he looks really happy right now. The reason, or the way that we're going to make him look kind of evil, is actually by adding in kind of like these eyebrows. So above his eyes, you want to give him like curved up evil eyebrows. And that's why we always say, you tip your eyebrow lady nice. Now around the outer edge here, you want to add in a bigger parenthesis shape. And that's how you're going to get that kind of makeup shape around his eye. And you're going to shade that rest of it in around your eye here. And that's really all of the main details here for Ernesto, at least on his face. Now above his head here, he's got that really nice like thick curl. And so we're going to start off with this letter C shape here for that one big main curl that goes in front of his forehead here. Now from that letter C shape, you want to branch out kind of like a big claw almost. So I'm going to come out on this side here and bring up like a little bit of an angle upwards. And then bring it back down onto the other side here to meet with his head shape. And this is kind of like his big curl in his hair. And actually, one of the animators that worked on Coco, he actually pitched an idea. His name is Daniel Arriaga. And he actually pitched this idea for Miguel to have the same kind of hairstyle as Ernesto. So, he was one of his biggest idols. And oftentimes we kind of like to imitate what our idols look like. It's like me following whatever hairstyle Taylor Swift had. Now around the curl here, all I did was just lock in the rest of my head shape here. Just follow that circle on the top. And then for the sides of his hair, they're kind of like these stretched out letter L shapes. So you want to just add in like these diagonals going around the edges of his head shape. And then you're going to bring it back down towards his horizontal guideline there. And that's the main hair shape here for Ernesto. And I'd say these are really all the main details that you need for your own sketch. We also draw him though with his, like in a portrait style, so with his outfit here on the bottom. Which, does anyone remember what his outfit is?
Nope.
Yeah, it's like a mariachi band kind of suit. So on the sides here, right on the corners of my head shape, and add in these like sloping hill shapes here. And then for the collar, you want to add in a couple shapes or sets of parentheses here. So on the inside, there's going to be one set of parentheses. And the second set here is going to go closer towards his shoulders. And this is like the little lapel of his mariachi suit. In the middle, he's got that nice big bow. So I'm going to add in like a tent shape or like a tall mountain peak shape here. And then I'll add in these rainbow shapes here from the corners of his chin. And then I'll connect those sides here with a U-curve. And naturally, bows and clothing aren't always symmetrical, so if they don't look like they're totally matching on either side, that's totally okay. You'll get the idea of a bow here. I'm just adding in one more loop here to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Now last, this is totally extra credit, but I like to add in a couple of little extra details on the rest of his face here. So around the bottom parts of his eye makeup, I'm going to add in 4 dots. And he also has some intricate details here on his face. So I'm going to add in these little swirls right where his cheekbones are. And I'll add in those same kind of, or similar kind of swirls here. They're more like letter S shapes on the bottom part of my chin here. He's also got like a little chin dimple, which he actually carries over from the living Ernesto to the land of the dead Ernesto. And that's really everything you need. So the last and most important step here for your artist sketch is going to be a signature. So find a nice spot on your paper and sign your name nice and proud. Because you made your very own sketch of a character that's not exactly a human, but I feel like it is basically as challenging to draw as a human character is. All right, in the end, did we have a fun time? Yes. Okay, that's the most important thing about drawing. Well, I'd like to see everyone's Ernesto, so we're going to have a little music show. I want to see all your sketches. On the count of 3, let's flip our boards. 1, 2, 3, Ernesto! Great job on this side. Wow, I feel like you really nailed this proportions. I see some very evil-looking musicians over here. Well, I guess, I don't know, can we call them musicians? He stole all his songs. Great job on this side as well. Really nice dark line work. I think we nailed these